Hello, all. This is Mary Harper, the Vice President for Public Policy for the Florida Association for the Education of Young Children, and I'm here to bring you your first legislative watch of the 2016 Florida season. We're a little more than 60 days through, and while there's not been a whole lot of activity, it's time to update you so that you can be abreast of how we're proceeding throughout the state related to early care and education issues. As you all may know, that the Legislative Watch is an effort to promote our public policy platform, specifically around the issues that influence the quality of early childhood programs, the work, compensation, and professionalization of early childhood educators, and access and funding of statewide early childhood programs and systems. The intent is to protect our state's most valuable commodity asset and future, young children. Right now, the House and Senate budgeting process are both are in the process of being amended and approved through that preliminary process. And next week, we believe both full chambers will vote on their proposed 2016-2017 state budgets. There are some implications for some additional dollars related to early care and education, but again, it's the beginning of these discussions, and so next week will be a really critical week for this legislative update. Around the promotion of quality early childhood programs, we talk about four specific factors: state program assessments or quality rating improvement systems, developmentally appropriate curriculum tied to universal standards and appropriate assessments, promotion of accreditation and gold seal, and appropriate ratios. And around those issues, we have a few bills that have emerged, and they all have companions. So that means we've got quite a bit of traction going on right now. In Senate Bill 1394 and House Bill 7063, the Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles they are specifically clarifying in this five different provisions, one of which directly affects early care and education, specifically clarifying that child restraint law for children 4 through age 5 does not apply to daycare facilities or child care providers when a seatbelt is used. The summary of these two bills is House Bill 7063 passed the Economic Affairs Committee on January 28th, and Senate Bill 1394 is scheduled for review on February 20th at 10 a.m. by the Appropriations Committee on Transportation, Tourism, and Economic Development. At this time, there's some great concern on the emphasis on age instead of the weight ratio with requirements to child safety regulations. Representative Staub and Artil sponsored House Bill 7063, and Senator Braids sponsored Senate Bill 1394. The next bill that we are actually quite excited about is Senate Bill 1420 and House Bill 1125 on the eligibility for employment as a child care personnel. As you all know, in 2014, Congress reauthorized the CCDBG block grant, or CCDBG, the Child Care Development Block Grant, and it includes in that reauthorization requirements regarding background screening of employees, and these requirements make sex offenders and individuals convicted of crimes such as murder and arson ineligible of employment by providers receiving CCDBG funding. And basically, our legislature is following suit. And the status of those two bills is House Bill 1125 was voted favorably in the Criminal Justice Subcommittee on February 5th and now heads to the Health and Human Services Committee. The Senate companion, Senate Bill 1420, was voted favorably in the Children, Families, and Elder Affairs Committee on February 4th and now heads to the Criminal Justice Committee. So we're delighted to see some strengthening around who's eligible to provide care to early childhood. The next one, which is also part of the Child Care Development Block Grant Program, brings us a bunch of quality initiatives and changes for the state of Florida. The new law requires that parents and the general public be provided with better information about the available child care choices and establishes health and safety requirements for school readiness program providers. It also increases public information on and background screening of child care providers, aligning eligibility requirements with the block grant, requiring inspection of and standards for emergency preparedness plans, and requiring pre-service and in-service training for personnel and school readiness programs. And that will have a dual effect when we look at our next area of emphasis in our public policy platform, establishment of a professional development system. This Senate Bill 7058 and House Bill 7053, which directly speak to the Child Care Development Block Grant, also provide us with that piece related to professional development systems. And as a result of requiring pre-service and in-service training for personnel of school readiness programs, the Office of Early Learning can interpret this by providing additional training or certifications, developing a career ladder, implementation of professional development standards for early care and education professionals. The status on these two bills is that House Bill 7053 was placed on the special order calendar for a floor hearing on February 10th. The bill provides for the drawdown of federal block grant funding for subsidized child care and directs the Office of Early Learning to develop quality standards for publicly funded child care, including appropriate group sizes. Senate Bill 7058 passed that committee on February 2nd. So we're seeing some real big traction around some initiatives that Florida has worked really long and hard on, especially the Florida Association for the Education of Young Children, around standardized competencies for professional development, a training registry, access to quality professional education, and a career ladder. So we're really excited to see that the reauthorization is now taking form in our state. The next area is increased access and funding to state early childhood programs. That includes our voluntary pre-kindergarten program, school readiness, health programs, and intervention services. In this area, we have two specific bills that are really very nice comprehensive bills. The first one is Senate Bill 7034 and House Bill 7034. These bills revise the Early Steps program in the Department of Health. The program provides screening and early intervention services to parents with infants and toddlers who have or may have a developmental delay. Additionally, this bill designates that the Florida Interagency Coordinating Council for Infants and Toddlers as a state interagency coordinator for early steps. So, the summary on that is that Senate Bill 7034 by Children and Families and Elder Affairs was approved unanimously by the Senate Appropriations Committee on February 3rd and has been placed on special order calendar for February 10th for floor action. The House companion, which I have written incorrectly here, so the House bill for this prenatal services and early childhood development is actually House Bill 943. Again, House Bill 943 is awaiting action by the Healthcare Appropriations Subcommittee. So we are hopeful for those. The next one is the Florida Kid Care Program, Senate Bills 248, Senate Bill 2508, and House Bill 89. These bills extend Medicaid and Children's Health Insurance Program eligibility to a lawfully residing child who is not a citizen or national of the United States but meets other applicable eligibility qualifications for Medicaid and CHIP. And so we're excited to see that children will gain access to health care from a qualified provider. That's it for now. I'll look forward to sharing an update next week. In the meantime, stay tuned and watch those legislative updates.